everyone, welcome back to our IGCSE Mathematics series brought to you by ZNotes. I'm Haya. While I'll be your host, we have an amazing contributor, Varshini, who will be guiding you and explaining you through all the key questions you need to know for this past paper today. Together, we'll make sure you're ready and confident for exams. So don't forget to hit subscribe before watching this video. Let's get started and dive into this paper.
Hi everyone, so today we'll be doing Spring 2023 Paper 2-2 Extended Mathematics. So this is our first question. From the list of numbers, write down a cube number. So let's look at the list of numbers over here. There's 12, 15, 27, 29, 91, and 93. So if you don't have any of the cube numbers memorized, and that's completely fine, you can just use your calculator to calculate from here the cube number. So we know that just one second. Yeah, so we know that the number here, one of these numbers is a cube, and we know that so n cubed is going to be equal to x, assuming that x is any one of these numbers. So all we need to do is find the cube root for all of these numbers and check if they are a perfect number and not a decimal. So first we can take 12. So in your calculator, just put in the cube root of 12, and you can see it's not a perfect number, it's a decimal. So then we'll put in the cube root of 15. And again, it's not a perfect number. But then we can put in the cube root of 27, and you should get 3. So we know that 27 is a perfect cube. So 27 is our answer. Okay, to the next question. They want a prime number. So we know that prime numbers are only divisible by 1 and the number itself. They have no other factors. And we know that 12 does have other factors. We know 2 into 6 is 12 and 3 into 4 is 12. So 12 is not the answer. And for 15, we also know that 5 into 3 is 15. And as well, 5 into 3 is 15 and 15 into 1 is 15. So 15 is not our answer. For 27, with 27, we know that 3 into 9 is 27, and 27 into 1 is 27. 27 isn't our answer. For 29, there are no other numbers that go into 29 other than 29 and 1. If you're not sure, you can always recheck in your calculator and divide 29 by all the numbers before it, or any number you want, and check and make sure it has no other factors. But 29 is only divisible by 1 and the number itself, which is 29. So 29 is our answer. Okay, to the next question. So they've given us two vectors here. The first one is -1 and 3, and we know that this is the direction in the x-axis, and this is the direction in the y-axis. And the other vector here is y equals 2, 5, and again, this is the direction in the x-axis, and this is the direction in the y-axis. So first, they want us to find v minus y. So we know that for any so first let's write. So we know this is v and this is y, and we know for a vector, to subtract it, we're going to have to subtract both the x-coordinate from the x-coordinate and the y-coordinate from the other y-coordinate. So let's write that down. -1, 3 minus 2, 5. So over here we have to subtract 2. We have to take away 2 from -1. So you can put that in your calculator. -1 minus 2, and you'll get -3. And don't forget the minus sign comes over 2 and 5. So now again we have to do 3 minus 5, and you should get -2. So that's our answer, and we'll just put it in here. And don't forget to write it in the right format. Now they want 2v. So 2v is nothing but 2 times this vector. Let's write it here. 2 times minus 1, 3. So that means we're going to multiply 2 into both minus 1 and into 3. That's going to be minus 2 and 6. Okay, to the next question. Question 3. On the Venn diagram, shade the region A intersection B. So we know for the region A intersection B, we need to shade the region that comes under A that also comes under B. So if you're confused about this, first we can shade the entire region under A, everything that belongs to A. So it's going to be all of this. And for B, we'll use a different color. And we know that's going to be all of, it's going to be all, sorry, one second. It's going to be all of this. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah. It's going to be this entire circle. So now we can see the region that comes under both A and B is this part. So now we can take out everything else. And just shade the region that belongs to both A and B, which is here. And when you're shading it in the exam, make sure to do it legibly and clearly so that the examiner knows exactly what you're trying to show. Okay, to the next question. Question 4, write down the next number in this sequence. So the numbers they've given us are 23, 17, 11, and 5. So to write down the next number in the sequence, we need to know the difference between these. So firstly, we know we can just calculate this by doing 23 minus 17, and you should get 6. If you're unsure about this, you can always recheck using your calculator. And again, we're going to check with 11 and 17 just to make sure that the difference is constant and that it's an arithmetic sequence. And again, it is 6. And again, try 11 and 5, which is 6. So, and we also know that for an arithmetic, anyways. So we know that the difference is 6, and we know it's going down by 6. Because 23 minus 6 is 17, 17 minus 6 is 11, and so on. So now all we have to do is subtract 6 from 5, and that should be minus 1. Again, if you want, just recheck on your calculator. If you're not that strong at mental calculation. For the part B, find the nth term of the sequence. So we know that for this type of arithmetic sequence, we know that the nth term is A plus n minus 1 into D, where A is the first term, and D is the difference. So over here, the first term we can see is 23. So that's going to be 23 plus n minus 1 into D, and D over here is 6. So now let's expand this so we can remove some of the unnecessary terms. So let's multiply out the brackets. 23 plus, first we'll do n into 6, which is 6n, and then minus 1 into 6, which is minus 6. So now 23 and minus 6 both are the same, have no other term other than 23 and minus 6, so we can subtract 23. We can take minus 6 away from 23 and make this 17 plus 6n. And that's our answer for the nth term. Okay, for the next question. Question 5, factorize completely, and they've given us the expression here, which is a to g minus 2g squared. So we need to look at the things that are repeating in both of these terms. We can clearly see that g is being used twice, and we can also factor out the 2 because 2 does go into 8. So if we take out both 2 and g, in the brackets, we will have 8g divided by 2g, 8g divided by 2g, and again, the g's will cancel here, and 8 by 2 is 4. So the first term here is going to be 4. And now we have minus 2g squared divided by 2g. So we know that over here, g squared by g will just be g. So we can take out this, because g squared is nothing but g into g. And of course, we can take out this extra g and this one. And again, 2 is repeating, so we can take out 2. And we'll be left with minus 1g. So over here, it'll be 2g into 4 minus g. So we can write this over here. 2g into 4 minus g. Here I didn't have space, but normally write it over the line where it belongs. Okay, without using a calculator, work out 4 by 7 divided by 8. You must show all your working and give your answer as a fraction as a fraction in its simplest form. Okay, so we know that let's convert both of these terms into fractions. 4 by 7 is already a fraction, and we know that 8 divided by 8 is nothing but 8 by 1. So now 8 by 1. So now that we have both of these terms in fractions, we also know that for when you're dividing fractions, we know that to divide this, we can change this into a multiplication sign and reciprocal this, which basically means flipping and keeping 1 on top and 8 on the bottom. So that's going to be 4 by 7 into 1 by 8. Now from here it's really easy. We just need to multiply 4 into 1 and 7 into 8. So on top will be 4 into 1, which is 4. And on the bottom will be 7 into 8, which is 56. And again, whenever you're doing these questions that says without using a calculator, always recheck it in your calculator to make sure you get the right answer. And here 4 by 56 is a fraction, but remember we want it in its simplest form. So we're going to simplify these by dividing. So over here it's 4 by 56. We know that 4 is a factor of 56. So we can divide 56 by 4 and 4 by 4. So we'll divide this by 4 and divide 56 by 4. And we will get 1 by 14, which is our answer. And again, remember to recheck it inside your calculator. Okay, question 7. Solve a 15t plus 8 equals 4 minus t. Okay, so first we need to keep all the t's on one side and the other numbers on the other side. So the t terms here are 15t and minus t. So let's move all the t's to the left side of the equation. So to get rid of this t, we need to add t to both sides to take this out. So it's going to be 15t plus t. And over here, we also want to take 8 out. So we're going to subtract 8 from both sides. And 8 minus 8 is 0. So 15t plus t equals 4 minus 8. And here, since these are both t terms, we know we can add these. And 15t plus t is nothing but 16t equals, and again, 4 minus 8 is minus 4. Now, to get rid of 16, all we need to do to find what t is, we need to isolate t. So we're just going to divide both sides by 16. And we get minus 4 by 16, which is nothing but minus 1 by 4. And if you're unsure of your mental math, again, always recheck using a calculator. Okay, so for the second question, 25 minus 2u by 3 equals 2. So again, first we want to get rid of this 3 on the denominator. So we are going to multiply both sides by by 3. So it's going to be 25 minus 2u equals 2 into 3, which we know to be 6. But now we want to get rid of this 25. So again, we're going to subtract 25 from both sides. I'm going to take this out and do minus 25. And lastly, we want to get rid of the minus 2 to isolate u again. So since it's being multiplied into u, we want to divide it by minus 2. So, and since we can only divide one side, we have to divide both sides. So we're going to divide this by minus 2 and divide this by minus 2. So again, you can just put this in your calculator if you want, or you could do it mentally. But either way, you should get 19 by 2. And that's our answer for you. Or you could also write it as a decimal um, as 9.5. For the next question, 8, calculate 0.3 squared and give your answer in standard form. So over here, we know that to make this simpler, we know 0.3 is nothing but 3 by 10. And we want to square this. So we know that per rules of indices, we know that when we square a fraction, we square both the numerator and the denominator. So that's going to be 3 squared, 3 squared divided by 10 squared. And we know 3 squared is 9 and 10 squared is 100. And 9 by 100 is nothing but 0.09. And again, you can always do this in your calculator. I think it's better to give working because this is also 2 marks. Then you see that you've done something. But now remember, they want you to give your answer in standard form. So we can't leave it like this. We need to write this as a power of 10. So we know that 0.0 we know that 0. To make 0.09 into 9 into 10 to the power something, which we don't know yet. So let's keep this x. 9 into 10 to the power something. So we know that over here we're basically dividing 9 by 100, right? Which we're writing here already. And we want to know how many times we're dividing this by 10. So this is nothing but 9 divided by 10 squared, as we wrote here. So we can write this as 9. And we know that 10 squared, if we want to make this as a power as 10 in the numerator, as we want to put this in the numerator, we know that 10 squared is nothing, 1 by 10 squared is nothing but, as per the rules of indices, 1 by 10 squared equals 10 to the power minus 2. And since we're dividing 9 by 10 squared, we know that it's going to be 9 into 10 to the power minus 2. Okay, for the next question. Solve the simultaneous equations. You must show all your working. So this is the first equation, and this is the second equation. So over here, we have two variables, x and y. The first one is 3x minus 2y equals 19, and the second one is x plus y equals 3. So to make this simpler, we need to equate both of these. Make these in each equation, we need to make either x or y the subject. So we can start with x. So let's make x the subject of the formula first. So first let's put y on the other side. Let's take y to the other side. So that's going to be 3x equals 19 plus 2y. And now we just need to divide both the sides by 3. And this is our equation 1. Now for equation 2, to make x the subject of the formula, again we just need to move y to the other side. and we get x equals 3 minus y. Now that we have x as the subject of the formula for both of these, we can equate these equations because we know this equals x and this equals x, so therefore this must be equal to this. So we can say 19 plus 2y by 3 equals 3 minus y. Now, to solve for y, it's simple. Again, we just need to rearrange these terms to make y the subject of the formula. So we can multiply both sides by 3 to get rid of this and make this 19 plus 2y equals 3 into 3 plus 3 into minus y. So 3 into 3 is 9 and 3 into minus y is minus 3y. So let's put y on one side of the equation and the numbers on the other side of the equation. So let's move y to the other side, and the sign will flip when we move it. So it's going to become 2y plus 3y, which is 5y, equals, and now again 9. We're moving 19 to the other side, so the sign will flip, and it'll be 9 minus 19, which is minus 10. So now to get y, again, we just need to divide both sides by 5 to get rid of this by 5, which is equal to minus 2. And now we have y, which is minus 2. And now to get x, we just need to substitute it into either this equation or this equation. And since this one is the simpler looking one, let's put y back in here. So we know x plus y, which we found to be 2, plus minus 2 equals 3. Now to find x, again, just move minus 2 to the other side, and x equals 3 plus 2, which we know is 5. Okay, for the next question. Okay, so for question 10, they've shown us a diagram, and in the diagram, AB and CD are parallel, so that's this and this. The lines CB and AD intersect at X. AB equals 3 centimeters, AX equals 2 centimeters, BX equals 2.7, and CD equals 7.5. So find the length of BC. So we can see from these two triangles that because their bases are the same and that these two lines are shared, we know that they're similar triangles. So we know that this side will be proportionate to this side. This side is proportionate to this side, and this is proportionate to this. And we know that any of the proportionate sides, the scale factor s by s, side by side, will always be the same. So let's take, we know 2 of the sides, so we can find the scale factor. We know 7.5 and 3. So let's do 7.5 divided by 3. And if you put that in your calculator, you should get 5 by 2, which is the scale factor. So we know that this into 5 by 2 will give us this. We know this into 5 by 2 will give us this, and we also know that this into 5 by 2 gave us this. So now to find, they want BC, which is this to this. So this is the length we need to know, and we know 2.7 into x will give 2.7 into 5 by 2 will give us xc. So we can calculate that. Just put that in your calculator into 5 divided by 2, and you should get 6.75. C equals 6.75. So now to find BC, which is this entire length, we're just going to add BX plus BC, plus XC equals, we know this to be 2.7, plus, and we know this length, which just found, to be 6.75. So now again, just put this in your calculator, 2.7 plus 6.75, and you should get 9.45. 9.45. So we can just write this in the blank. Okay, for the next question. Question 11. Find the highest common factor, the HCF, of 12x to the power 12 and 16x to the power 16. So first we can split these up into, so we know that this is nothing but 12 into x to the power 12 and 16 into x to the power 16. So first we need to find the highest common factor coefficient, which will be the highest common factor of 12 and 16. So we can take all their factors. We know that the factors of 12 are 3 into 4, 6 into 2, and 12 into 1. And we know that the factors of 16 are 4 into 4, 8 into 2, and 16 into 1. So here the highest factor, the most common one is 4. We can see that 4 is the highest one over here. There's also 2, which is not the highest. 4 is the highest. So we know that 4 is going to be the coefficient of the answer. Now, to find the x term, we know that x to the power 16 is nothing but x into x into x, so on, 16 times. And x to the power 12 x to the power 12 is nothing but x into x into x, so on, 12 times. So if we look at these, we know that this is going to keep repeating 12 times, this is going to keep repeating 16 times, but these 12 times, this will be 12 times into x into x into x into x into x. So that means that x to the power 12 is going to be the common factor of both of these, because this is x to the power 16 is nothing but x to the power 12 into x to the power 4. We can also recheck these. We know that for exponents, when you multiply them with and they have the same base, you just need to add the powers. So that's going to be 12 plus 4, which is x to the power 16. So x to the power 12 here is the highest common factor. And we can write this as 4x to the power 12 as our answer. Okay. I'm just going to erase this. Okay, so for the next part, 12. In a regular polygon, the interior angle and the exterior angle are in the ratio interior is to exterior equals 11 is to 1. Find the number of sides of this regular polygon. So for the interior angles of a polygon, any polygon, we know it's going to be equal to n minus 2 into 180. And we also know here that that the exterior angle is nothing but 360 n, 360 into n, which is going to be the sum of exterior. Wait, no, sorry. They want just the exterior angle here, not the sum of exterior angles. So we know that these are in the ratio 11 is to 1, and we know that the total parts, if we draw this as a bar, there will be 12 parts, so on, and 11 of these parts will be the interior, and 1 of these parts is going to be the exterior. So that means it's going to be 11x is to 1x. And since we know that this is to 11 as to the exterior is to 1, we can also say that n minus 2 into 180 equals 360 into 11, as we know that the sum of the exterior angles is 360 into n. So now to solve this, we have this equation. All we need to do is make n the subject of the formula. So we're going to multiply n in both of these terms into 180. So it's going to be 180 n minus 360 equals, now we can just do this in our calculator, 360 into 11, and you should get 3960. So now to make n the subject of the formula, let's move 360 to the other side, minus 360 to the other side. The sign is going to flip, it's going to become plus 360. And again, we need to take out 180, so we're just going to divide both sides by 180. Now again, you can just put this straight into your calculator, and you should get 24 as your answer. Okay, so for the next question, 13. The diagram shows the speed time graph for part of the car journey. So on the y-axis is the speed and on the x-axis is the time. Calculate the total distance traveled during the 10 seconds. So that's 0 to 10. So we know that the total distance, we know that distance equals the area under the graph. And over here, we can split these into the rectangle and the triangle. So for the rectangle, we know area 1 equals b into h for the rectangle, the base into the height, and that is nothing but 8 into 10, which equals 80. Now area 2 is going to be the triangle, which is half b into h. And over here we know the b is going to be 10 minus 8, which is 2. So it's going to be half into 2 into the height, which again is 10. And if you put this in your calculator, we can just cancel out the 2's here, and we should just get 10. So now if we add up the area, 80 plus 10, to find the total area, we're going to get 90. And so the answer is 90 meters. Okay, question 14. The diagram shows a sector of a circle with center 0 and radius 9 centimeters. The length of the chord PQ is 6 centimeters. That's this. Sorry, no, that's this. Is 6. Calculate the area of the arc PQ. They want this area. So to do that, we need this angle. So first we can split this up to make this a right angle triangle. So we're just going to divide this angle by 2, and we're going to draw a little right angle here. Okay, so now we want to find this angle. Let's label this angle as theta. As we know that this length is 6, so half this length is going to be 3. And sine theta equals opposite by hypotenuse. So over here, the opposite will be 3, and the hypotenuse is going to be 9. So all we need to do is put in sine inverse in our calculator of 3 by 9. 3 by 9, and you should get 19.47. Okay, so now we know this angle, theta, and we know that twice this angle is going to be this angle. So we're going to multiply 19.47 into 2, and we're going to get this angle to be 38.9. And we also know that to find the arc PQ, we know that it's going to be theta by 360 into 2 pi r. So all we have to do is 38.9 divided by 360 into 2 pi into the radius, which we know here is 9, because from 0 to the edge of the circle it's 9. So all we have to do is put this into our calculator and use the pi button in your calculator for the accurate value of pi. 38.9 divided by 360, and don't forget to add the brackets. And you should get 6.11 or something close if you've used the accurate value of this theta instead of the rounded off values. Yeah, make sure to use the entire decimal places that you get in your calculator. Okay, question 15. Simplify 3125w to the power 3125 to the power 1 by 5. So first, let's open up these brackets. We know that for all these terms inside the brackets, both of these terms are going to be to the power 1 by 5. So that's going to be 3125 to the power 1 by 5 into w to the power 3125 to the power 1 by 5. So first, let's simplify this. All we need to do is put this in our calculator, 3125 to the power 1 by 5, and you should get 5. Okay, now for w, we know that by the laws of indices, n to the power x to the power b is nothing but n to the power x into b. So we know that w to the power 3125 into to the power 1 by 5 is nothing but w to the power 3125 times 1 by 5. So we can put this as 3125 into 1 by 5, which again is nothing but 3125 divided by 5. So all you have to do in your calculator is put in 3125 into 1 by 5. And you should get 625. So that's 5 times w to the power 625. And that's our final answer, 5w to the power 625. Okay, for the next question, y is inversely proportional to x squared. So we know that it's not proportional, it's inversely proportional. So we know that y, according to our laws, we know that y is going to be equal to k, which is a random constant, divided by x squared. We also know that when x is 3, y is equal to 2. And we want to find the value of y when x is equal to 2. When x is equal to 2. So first we need to find the value of k. So we have these two values. When x is 3 and y is 2, we know that when x is 3, y is 2. So we can substitute in 2 into y and 3 into x. So we can say that 2 is equal to k divided by 3 squared. Now to find k, all we need to do is multiply both sides by 3 squared to get rid of this. So it's going to be k is equal to 2 into 3 squared. So if you put that in your denominator, you should get 18. K equals 18. So now they want us to find y when x is equal to 2. So now we know k is 18. So y is equal to 18 divided by x squared. And we also know that they want us to find y when x equals 2. So we know y equals 18 by 2 squared. Now you can make this into 4, or you can just directly put this into your calculator. And that should give you 18 divided by 4. And you should get 4.5 as y. Okay, for the next question. Question 17. ABCD is a cyclic quadrilateral. That's ABCD. And ABX is a straight line. And PQ is a tangent to the circle at A. Angle CBX is equal to 85 degrees. So that's CBX equals 85 degrees. Angle BAQ is 55 and angle CAD is 42. So first they want us to find angle CBD. So that over here is this angle. They want this angle. So to do that, First, it would be easier to find this angle, and we also know that for any straight line, we know the sum of angles are equal to 180, and we also know that for any quadrilateral, any triangle in the circle, let's take this triangle ACD. We know that the alternate angle, this much, will be equal to this much. We know that this much will be equal to this much. So let's revise our other rules. We also know that for any triangle with any triangle subtended by the arc is going to be equal to the angles subtended by the same arc at the same edge of the circle. So that means this is going to be equal to this. And by those laws, that's it. And we also know that for any quadrilateral, we know that this angle is going to be equal to 180 minus the opposite angle, this angle. So now let's do the question. They want us to find angle CBD. So we can calculate angle hold on one sec. Okay. We know that the angle over here, we know that for this, we can see that this is one line and wait, hold on. One sec. Yeah. So we know that angle CBD is also subtended by this arc. And we also know angle CAD, again, is subtended by the same arc. So that means angle CAD and angle CBD are going to be equal. And so angle CBD is going to be 42 degrees. Now let's go to the next question. They want angle ACB. And angle ACB is this angle. They want this angle. Okay, so we know that this angle is 42. So we can calculate this wait, hold on one second. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So wait, hold on, my bad. Angle ACB. Okay. So we also know that for any triangle, like I said, inside the circle, according to the alternate angle segment theorem, this angle outside is going to be equal to the alternate angle, which in this case is going to be this angle, which is nothing but ACB. So we know ACB is going to be 55 degrees. Okay, so for the next question, angle ADC, which is nothing but this angle. They want this entire angle. Okay, so ADC. So we found this angle and and they want us to find angle ADC. So we can easily find this angle because we know this is a straight line and we know that angles in a straight line add up to 180. So we know 85 plus 42, which is this angle, plus x is equal to 180. So now to find x, all we have to do is subtract 85 plus 42 from 180. So you're going to put down your calculator and don't forget to put in the brackets. So it's going to be 85 minus, so 180 minus 85 plus 42. So you should get 53 as this angle. So now we can find this entire angle, which is equal to 42 plus 53. So that should give you 95. But remember, they want ADC. And we know ADC is nothing but 180 minus this angle. So we're going to do 180 minus 95, and you should get 85 as your answer. And now lastly, for angle BCD, which is going to be this angle, BCD. They want us to find angle BCD. So we know this angle. We need to find this angle in order to find angle BCD. Or we could also say that since angle BCD is a triangle inside the circle, and we know the outside of value. No, we don't know the tangent value, so we can't use the alternate segment theorem. But we can say that this is going to be 180 minus this whole angle. So we can find this angle as this angle is going to be equal to this angle, dBA, and we've already found this angle. We know that this angle is x, which is 53. So we know this angle is also going to be equal to 53. And we also know that angles in a straight line add up to 180. So if we do that, we can easily calculate this angle. And all we have to do is 180 minus 53 plus 42 plus 55. It's going to be 180 minus 53 plus 42 plus 55. And don't forget to add the brackets when you're putting in your calculator. It'll give you very, very different values. And for this angle, you should get 30. I'll write it over here. 30. Okay, and so now we have this whole angle. So all we have to do is this 180 minus this angle to calculate this angle. So it's going to be 180 minus 42 plus 30. 180 minus 42 plus 30. Plus 30, and you should get 108. Okay, and for the last one, angle PAD, they want us to find PAD, which we've already calculated, and we know that's going to be 53. So we'll just write it down here. And there are very different ways to do these types of questions. So if you calculate it by a different way but get the same answer, then that's also perfectly all right. Okay, for the next question. Two solids are mathematically similar and have volumes 81 centimeter cubed and 24 centimeter cubed. The surface area of the smaller solid is 44 centimeters squared. Calculate the surface area of the larger solid. So we have the smaller solid and the larger solid. And we also know that the scale factor is the cube root of the scale factor of the volumes. So I'm going to put V1 by V2. Okay, so we know that's our formula. We know that the scale factor of the sides is going to be the cube root of the scale factor of the volumes. And we also know that the scale factor of the surface area is going to be equal to the scale factor of the sides squared. So, I can also rewrite this volume 1. This is a little bit confusing. Let's just rewrite this and say that the surface area, the scale factor is equal to V1 by V2, the cube root of that, which is also equal to the cube root of the area 1 by the square root, of area 1 by area 2, which is equal to, instead of SF over here, we can write this as side 1 by side 2. And we can also say that side 1 by side 2 squared is going to equal to surface area 1 by surface area 2. And side 1 by side 2 cubed is equal to volume 1 by volume 2. But anyways, now to calculate the scale factor, all we have to do is find the cube root of the volumes. So over here, we all we have to do is 81 by 24. So the scale factor over here is going to be 81 by 24, the cube root of that. You can just put that directly into your calculator, and you should get 3 by 2. So now we have this information, and we also know that this is the scale factor, which is again this, and if you want to find the scale factor of the areas, that's going to be S1 by S2 squared. Or you could just think of it of squaring both sides to remove the square root. So we're going to square this. 3 by 2 squared equals 9 by 4. So this is the scale factor of the areas. So now we want to multiply the scale factor into the value we have here of the area to calculate the larger area. We can also rewrite this and say that the scale factor, which is 44 by x, which is the larger solid we don't know, is equal to 9 by 4, but remember 9 by 4 is larger by smaller, so we want smaller by larger because over here we have smaller by larger, so that's going to be 4 by 9. Now again, here you can just cross multiply and solve it how you like, or you could just directly divide this and then solve it, but you should get 44, wait, sorry, my bad, 9, you should get 99 as your answer. 99 centimeter squared. Okay, question 19. Find the values of x when 6x plus y equals 10 and y is equal to x squared minus 3x plus 10. Okay, so over here we have y as the subject of the formula. So let's make y as the subject of this formula. Yeah. Make y. So all we have to do is subtract 6x on both sides and say y equals 10 minus 6x. Okay, so for this, now we have y as the subject of this formula and y as the subject of this formula. So we know that y equals y, and so this is going to equal this. So we can write this as 10 minus 6x equals x squared minus 3x plus 10. So this is a quadratic. All we need to do is put everything on one side of the equation to make it equal to 0. We can do that by subtracting these two from the side of the equation. So if we move 6x to the other side, that's going to be plus 6x. So it's going to be x squared minus 3x plus 6x plus 10. And again, move this one to the other side. It's going to be minus 10 equals 0 because we've taken these out. So now we know that plus 10 minus 10 is 0. And we also know that, yes, we also, wait, hold on, sorry. Yeah, we also know that over here that, the minus 3x plus 6x is nothing but 3x. So we have x squared plus 3x equals 0. So now, all we have to do is put this inside our calculator. If you go right to your equation button, you should be able to put in a quadratic equation. And for this, select the second degree, and x will be 1 over here, and x squared will be 1, and x will be 3, and the number will be 0. So you should get x1 as minus 3 and x2 as 0. And since this is only a 3 marker, you don't need to show all your working of putting it into a quadratic equation. But for other questions, I do recommend you do that. Question 20, find the nth term of each sequence. So over here we can see that it's not increasing constantly. So first let's find the difference between each of these terms. Zoom it in a little. So first we know over here, minus 1 plus 1 is going to be equal to 0. Difference here is 1. 0 plus 7 is 7. 7 plus 19 is 26. And again, 63 minus 26 is nothing but 37. So since these differences clearly aren't constant, we're going to find the second difference. 7 minus 1 is 6. 19 minus 7 is 12. And 37 minus 19 is 18. These differences also aren't constant, so let's find the third difference. 12 minus 6 is 6. And 18 minus 12 is 6. So these differences are constant, so we can see that 1, 2, 3, it's been 3 differences. So we know that over here the nth term is going to be a cubic in the form an cubed plus bn, plus bn squared plus cn plus d. Where over here this term is going to be 6a. This term is going to be 12a plus 2b, and this term is going to be let me try on the other side. This term is going to be 7a plus 3b plus c, and sorry, not this term. We have to take them all from the very first of each of these. So this actually is 7a plus 3b plus c. And this last one is a plus b plus c plus d. Okay, so first we know this 6 is 6a. So that means to get a, we basically, wait, let me write this over here. Okay, so we know that 6a is 6 equals 6. So to divide both sides by 6 to find a by 6, we know a equals 1. And we know now that 12a plus 2b is equal to 6. We know that 12a is nothing but 1 into 12. So that's 12 plus 2b. 2b equals 6. And now to find b, let's take 12 out of this. And again, let's divide this by 2. So if you do this, you should get minus 6 by 2, which is equal to minus 3. And lastly, now we can find c. We know 7a is 1 into 7, which is 7. So that's going to be 7 plus 3 into minus 3, which is minus 9, plus c is equal to this term over here, which is 1. So 7 minus 9 is nothing but minus 2. And again, let's take this out from this side, move to this side, change the sign, and make it plus 2. So c is equal to 1 plus 2, which is equal to 3. And now lastly, we just need to find d. So we know a plus b plus c plus d is equal to this term over here, minus 1. And we know all of these terms, so that's 1 plus minus 3 plus 3 plus d is equal to minus 1. So now let's take all of these terms to the side. First, let's add them over here. So we know minus 3 plus 3 is going to cancel and become 0, and we just have 1 left over here. So let's move it to this side, and it's going to be minus 1 again minus 1, which is minus 2. So we have over here, take all of this out, d equals minus 2. Okay, so now we need to write this in our form. Let's take this out. We have our 3 terms over here. So we can write this as, so we know A is equal to 1, B equals minus 3, C equals 3, and D equals minus 2. So we can write this as n cubed minus 3n squared minus 2n, my bad, plus 3n minus 2. And this is our answer. Okay, so for the next question, B is 24, 12, 6, 3, 1.5. So you can see from this that it's clearly not, it's going into decimals. So we know it's not plus or minus, it's going to be a geometric sequence. And for those, we know the nth term rule is nothing but a r to the power n minus 1. So over here, a is 24. And to find the common ratio, it's just going to be the second term divided by the first term. And 12 divided by 24 is nothing but 1 by 2. And if you want to check this, we can check this by dividing 6 by 12. Again, you'll get 1 by 2. So we know that the difference is common, and so it's correct. So it's going to be into 1 by 2 to the power n minus 1. And now, we leave it like this, and we can put this over here in the answer. 4 into 1 by 2 to the power n minus 1. Okay, for the next question. Okay, question 21. A car travels 14 kilometers, correct to the nearest kilometer. This takes 12 minutes, correct to the nearest minute. Calculate the lower bound of the speed of the car and give your answers in kilometers per minute. So over here they want the speed, and we know speed is equal to distance by time. And we also know that for any division, when we want to find the lower bound, we need to do the lower bound divided by the upper bound, the lower bound of the numerator divided by the upper bound of the denominator. So this should be the lower bound of 14 of kilometer distance divided by the upper bound of 12, which is time. So the lower bound of 14 is nothing but 14 minus 1 by 2 into whatever it's nearest to. Here it's just 1 kilometer. That's 1. Divided by the upper bound of the time, which is 12 plus, since the upper bound, 1 by 2 into the nearest minute, which is just 1 minute. Okay, so if you put this in your calculator, you should just get 13.5 divided by 12.5. And your answer should be 1.08. Okay, to the next question. The diagram shows a triangular prism ABCDQP, this, of length 7 centimeters. So we know this is 7. The cross section is triangle PAB, this, with PA equal to 4 centimeters, AB equal to 5 centimeters, and angle PAB is 90 degrees. So we know this is a right angle triangle. Calculate the angle between the line PC, that's this diagonal line that's going from this corner all the way to this corner. And the base ABCD, which is this base. So we know this, what we need to find, we can make this into a little triangle. This is going to be the base of the triangle, and this is going to be the height of the triangle. So this is the triangle inside the prism. For more context, I can shade it. It looks something like this. And over here is the diagonal line, and this is the line between P and C. So first, we can use, and we also know that over here, this is going to be a right angle because this is the bottom and this again is the side. So there will be a right angle between this. So first, we need to find, we can find A to C. And we know that A to C, we know that from the Pythagoras theorem rule, we know that A squared plus B squared equals C squared. And over here, where C is the hypotenuse of the triangle, so over here we can see through this triangle, 5, 7, and CA, we know that this is going to be a right angle as this is a square. And so we know that this length over here is the hypotenuse. So to calculate AC, all we need to do is 5 squared plus 7 squared equals AC squared. And now we just want AC, so we're going to take the square root of both sides to get rid of the square over here. And if you put that in your calculator, the root of 5 squared plus 7 squared, you should get root 74. And we're going to leave it here as the root because the decimal is really large, and there are a lot of decimal places and we want the exact number. So it's going to be in root 74. So now, remember, they want us to find the angle between the line PC and the base ABCD. And over here, that's going to be this angle. Okay, so to find this angle, we know this is a right angle triangle. And we know that for any right angle triangle, tan theta is equal to opposite by adjacent. And we have information about opposite and the adjacent. This being the opposite and this being the adjacent. So now all we have to do is tan theta equals 4 divided by root 74. If you put this in our calculator, we should get a really small decimal number. So all we have to do is find the tan inverse of this. So you should put shift tan or whatever you have in your calculator to get tan inverse, and in the brackets 4 divided by root 74, and you should get theta equal to, you can write over here, 24.9 degrees, rounding it off to 3 decimal places. Okay, for the next question, 23, simplify 5x squared minus 19x plus 12 divided by x squared minus 9. So remember, this is a fraction, and the only way to simplify the fraction is by factoring both the top numerator and the bottom numerator. So we want to make this in terms of a plus b into some other number, maybe c plus d. And the bottom, we also want it to be divided by one of these top numbers, maybe a plus b, so that we can cancel something out. Okay, so now we're going to factor out this, and we know that to factor a quadratic equation, first we need to take a, and we need to take the c term, and we need to multiply them. So here, if we multiply 5 into 12, we will get a into c equals 60. And now we can split this middle term by making it into two numbers that should multiply into 60, and that should add up to minus 19. So here we can just use trial and error. So remember, we want numbers to get to 60. So we can try doing, for example, 12 minus 12 into minus 7. We know that is going to, if you put that on the calculator, that's going to give us 84. We want a number smaller than that. So we can try minus 15 into minus 4, and that is going to give us 60. Minus 15. Yeah, okay. So remember, don't forget the minus sign over here, and don't forget that 5 into 12 is plus 60, and when we multiply minus 15 into minus 4, we get a positive number because two negative numbers give us a positive number. And if you're not getting this, then keep trying until the numbers that you get when you split the middle term matches this A into C. So now that we have the two numbers, we can split the middle term and make this 5x squared minus 15x minus 4x plus 12. So now that we have these terms, we can factor these out. First, let's take 5x out of here, because we know that 5 is a multiple of 15, and 5 is a multiple of 5, factor of 15 and factor of 5, obviously. And we also know that x goes inside x squared and it goes inside x. So we can take out 5x from these two numbers and we know that 5, if we divide 5x squared by 5x, we're going to get x. If we divide minus 15x by 5x, we're going to get minus 3. So now we need to factor these two terms. So over here, what's common between minus 4x and 12? We know that 4 is a factor of both minus 4x and plus 12. So let's take out minus 4, and if we divide minus 4x by minus 4, we will get x. And if we divide 12 by minus 4, we will get minus 3. So we factored it out over here. We can't stop here because now we see two like terms, x minus 3 and x minus 3. So that means we can condense these into one, and we can condense this term 5x minus 4 into 1, and make this 5x minus 4 into x minus 3. Okay, so now we factored out the top. We just need to factor out the bottom. So over here, let's make numerator. Now to do the denominator. So we see that this we also, let's look at this. It's written in a very similar format. We also know that a squared minus b squared is equal to a minus b into a plus b. So if you look at that over here, this term, x squared minus 9 looks very familiar. We can rewrite this to x squared minus 3 squared, because we know that 3 squared is 9. And now we have this in the format of a squared minus b squared. So now we can easily factorize this into x minus 3 and x plus 3. So now that we have this factorized denominator, let's write it in our fraction. Let me put this into a box. Let's write it over here as x minus 3 and x plus 3. So now over here we have two multiplications and two multiplications on the denominator. So we know that over here x minus 3 is the same as the one here in the denominator. And like any fractions, we can cancel them out because they're just multiples. So that leaves us with 5x minus 4 divided by x plus 3. So let's not read that. Okay, that leaves us with 5x minus 4 divided by x plus 3. Question 24. The probability of Jamie hitting a target is 1 by 3. The probability that he hits the target for the first time on his nth attempt is 64 divided by 2187, and they want us to find the value of n. So we know the probability of him hitting the target is 1 by 3, and the probability that he hits the target for the first time on his nth attempt. So we know that for the first time is going to be 1 by 3. Sorry, we know the probability of him hitting the target as a success is 1 by 3. So we know the failure of him not hitting the target, F, is going to be 2 by 3, because it's going to be 1 minus 1 by 3, because the probability of him hitting the target will either be a success or a failure, and we know that the total probability is going to be equal to 1. And 1 by 3 plus 2 by 3 is 1. So we know the probability of a failure is 2 by 3. So now we want the probability that he hits the target for the first time on the nth attempt. So we know that that is going to be 2 by 3, which is the first failure, into 2 by 3, into 2 by 3, and we want him to keep on failing like this, 2 by 3 into 2 by 3 into 2 by 3, until and so on, until he hits success, which will be 1 by 3. So let's, instead of putting this as 2 by 3 into 2 by 3 into 2 by 3, we can rewrite this, taking out all of this. We can rewrite this as 2 by 3 to the power n, or instead of n, let's put another variable, x, into 1, and over here into 1 by 3. And we can say that because 2 by 3 is going to be multiplied by itself, which is going to be to the power x. So 2 by 3 to the power 2 will be 2 by 3 into 2 by 3. Power 3 will be 2 by 3 into 2 by 3 into 2 by 3. So that's going to go on for x attempts, and then the final one will be 1 by 3. And we know this into this will be equal to 64 divided by 2187. So now to do this, we need to have trial and error. So all we do is, first let's take the first trial and error. Let's do 1 by 3 into 2 by 3. So this would mean he hits it. We know 1 by 3 would be him hitting on the first time. 1 by 3 into 2 by 3 would be him hitting it on the second time. Or rather, if this is slightly confusing, we can rewrite this as 2 by 3 into 1 by 3, as the first time is going to be a failure and the second time is going to be a success. So let's try this. 2 divided by 3 into 1 divided by 3, and the answer will be 2 by 9. So we know it's not going to be this. So let's try 2 by 3. Hold on. Let's try 2 by 3 into 2 by 3 into 1 by 3, which is the failure, a failure, and a success. 3 into 2 divided by 3 into 1 divided by 3. And the answer is going to be 4 by 27. So we know it's not this. He's not going to fail 2 times and hit it on its third go. So now let's try the four attempts, which will be 2 by 3 into 2 by 3 into 2 by 3, 3 failures and 1 success into 1 by 3. So that's going to be 2 divided by 3 to the power 4 into 1 by 3, which is going to give us 16 by 243. So we can also rule this out. We know this is not going to be the answer. Let me clear this. So let's try it on his sixth go. So that's going to be 2 by 3 into 2 by 3 into 2 by 3 into 2 by 3 into 1 by 3. So that's going to be sixth go, my bad, into 2 by 3 into 1 by 3. So that's going to be 5 failures, and the sixth try is going to be the success. That's going to be 2 divided by 3 to the power 5 into 1 by 3. And that is equal to 32 divided by 729. So that's not big enough yet. So now we're going to have to try it on his seventh attempt. 3, 4, 5, 7. Yeah, so that's going to be 2 by 3 to the power 6 into 1 by 3. To the power 6 into 1 by 3. If you put that into your calculator, you should get 64 divided by 2187, which is also equal to what they want. So this is one way to do this, which involves a lot of trial and error. But another way to do this would also be to look at this and realize that when we're just multiplying all of these threes in the denominator, we're going to get a multiple of 3. So to find out how many times this 3 is being multiplied, all we have to do is divide 2187 by 3. So, let me clear this again. So we know that 2187 by 3, and if you put that in your calculator, you should get 729. Yeah, and again, remember, sorry, hold on, my bad. We want 3 to the power something x is going to equal to 2187. So we can solve this using logs, but I think that's not in the syllabus. So yeah, I think trial and error is actually the best way to do this. Okay, so anyways, we got it on our seventh attempt. We got 2 by 3 into the power 6 into 1 by 3, or rather 1 by 3, into the power 6 into 1 by 3 is equal to 64 by 2187. But remember, we don't want this number. We want 6 plus 1 because this is going to be his final attempt. So that means the answer over here is going to be his n is equal to 7. He will get it on his 7th attempt. Okay, for the last question, 25, f of x equals x cubed plus 1, and find f inverse of x. So we know that to find f inverse of x, all we have to do is over here, we're going to rewrite this equation and change f of x to x equals, and change x over here, we're going to change this to y. It's going to be y cubed plus 1. Now all we need to do is make y the subject of the formula. So in order to do this, first we're going to take away 1 from both sides. We're going to move it to the other side basically and get x minus 1 equals y cubed. So now we want to get rid of this cube. We want to make it just y. So we're going to find the cube root of this, which is going to be y, and the cube root of this. So it's going to be the cube root of x minus 1 equals y. And y here is nothing but our f inverse of x. So we can rewrite that as f inverse of x equals cube root of x minus 1. And that's also the answer they want over here. We can just directly rewrite it in here. And don't forget the 3. It's not the square root, it's the cube root of x minus 1.
So I think that has wrapped up our episode for today. Thank you, Varshini, and don't forget to subscribe to stay tuned for more episodes coming up for this series. Thank you and goodbye.